Hello and welcome to the screencast video that's designed to help you complete the preparation assignment. This is the topic selection assignment for Research 1, that's course EDUC 6023. The assignment's pretty simple. You select a topic that is based on a need in your work setting and provide a brief paragraph to clarify and identify the topic or need and provide a rationale for your selection. Now, I'm providing this assignment, and the reason that this assignment is being required is that, in my view, applied research needs to be situation-based. In other words, it's really difficult to talk about research issues in the abstract. It needs to be attached to something that has a need for a research solution. So, with this basis in mind, this assignment is going to be a beginning to help you get going with a lot of other assignments in the class. And again, this is not a graded assignment. There's no rubric. You just basically need to select a topic and give me the information on it. And then when you give me this topic, I'm going to give you feedback. And let me write that down right now, because the big issue here is feedback. So in other words, when you send me an assignment, I'm going to give you a response, and we're going to work together to get this honed so that this is a valuable tool to help you with assignments later on down the class. Okay, and these are this is the prompt that was provided in the copy of the assignment that you already probably have seen. Basically, you can select something that has to do with a curriculum issue. It could be a school climate issue, or it could be the development of an improvement plan for an identified group of students. So that would get you started. And I'm going to give you 3 specific examples, and these are statements I'm going to read them exactly as they are. These are statements that have been provided for students doing a similar assignment to this in the past. And you can see they don't have to be all that complex. First one's pretty simple. This is based by a person that said, I think we have too many behavior problems in the common area of the elementary school where I work. All right, it's certainly not an academic issue. It has to do with student behavior. Certainly, I don't think many of us would disagree with the idea that behavior problems can get in the way of school improvement and progress. So you can see where this is the basis for this process, and apparently it's a need in the eyes of this person. Secondly, although my middle school has a good record of meeting the required proficiency standards in reading and math, I'm concerned about the level of improvement on the part of middle achieving and high achieving students. Many of us for a long time have been concerned about the idea that a measurement system, as we have in Kansas, most other states have the same thing, that places an emphasis on meeting a basic proficiency standards without any gradations that go above that, is going to do one thing. It's going to make sure that we are mindful of the students who are not achieving and going to bring those up to par. But how about the students that are on the continuum above the so-called passing mark? The students that we have no concerns about them passing, but we think they should be achieving at a higher level. And finally, the third one, our school with a high percent of ESL students, pretty common phenomena for the students in this class, seems to have 2 problems: literacy development on the part of limited English proficiency students and low rates of parental involvement. Are these 2 linked, and will increased rates of parent involvement also improve literacy development? So, let me summarize. What do we have here? Well, some very simple, not very sophisticated statements, but they do express needs that these schools would have. And I might add, it wouldn't matter whether these people were taking a Newman University course or not. These would issues for that need improvement. I think all of us would agree that we might have 2 or all 3 of these in any one given school that we're working with. Behavior problems of some kind or another, achievement levels at all kinds and issues, and issues where we're trying to link 2 important issues: parent involvement and literacy development. In other words, trying to increase the amount of resources we have to solve problems. Okay, 3 examples now. So you can see this is not going to be a required, a format is not really a big concern here. We just want to get an idea to start the process so we can do some exchanges and some rolling back and forth together here. I provided these questions to start the process, and these are in the assignment as you see it in the syllabus of the class. Okay, so pretty simple questions. Number one, I want you to tell me why you selected this topic, because that's certainly going to provide some background information that we need to know about the topic. So let's go back here. Well, this person right here, example number one, some information about the topic. Well, person certainly has already said something about that right now. We've got behavior problems, and we are identifying these in common areas of this elementary school. So that would give you an idea. Go to there. Can you provide a brief history of the issue? And you have some evidence that supports the need for attention. So three kind of basic questions. Here are some supplemental questions that I want to add that might help you out a little bit further with the process. As you're thinking about an issue in your school, it's always a good idea, I think, to have an idea in the back of your mind about what would be the ideal. So you could probably do a pretty good job without a lot of help and looking at each of these three issues right here and think about what the ideal is. That wouldn't be a real difficult task, not a lot of imagination, would it? Then secondly, what's the current situation? So obviously we've got a discrepancy between the ideal. If we already had achieved the ideal, it probably wouldn't be an issue. But there's a discrepancy between the ideal and where we are right now. That's why it's probably an issue. Now, why do we know it's an issue? Well, first of all, one possibility is we have a data file that documents the situation. So we've been keeping meticulous records, and we have a pretty good record that supports our concern. Or more likely, we have a perception based on incidents and perceptions. Give you an example of an illustration that might give you whet your appetite. Goes back many years ago when I was the director of assessment for the Wichita Public Schools. We had a concern because the newspaper in Wichita presented a number of stories about schools in Wichita being unsafe. Now, that was a perception that they got from talking with several parents. Our problem was we didn't think that the schools were unsafe, but we didn't have any data. It was our perception against their perception. So I think the next step's pretty obvious. We, over the next couple of years, started to develop some rather detailed data files about student perceptions and about documenting safety incidents so that we would have, and it's probably not a surprise to you, as it is in most communities, that schools are among the safest place in a community. Much safer than the streets, unfortunately, sad to say, safer than many homes. So, what's the current situation? How do we know what the current situation is? Do we have data already accumulated on it? Or is this based on perceptions on some incidents, or somebody's telling us, I think there's a problem? And then finally, if you were to attack this problem and you were to identify this as an area for improvement, what would you identify as, what would you be looking for as evidence of improvement? So that would be an issue to look at there. Okay, finally, this might be helpful to you. You're not going to get graded down by not doing a very complete job on this prep assignment. If you give me a basic outline without much information, I'm going to give you feedback, and I'm going to try to get you to get more information to me, but this is not going to affect your grade for the class adversely. But I would like to identify for you a payoff for providing lots of information for this assignment at this time. And basically, by doing a good job of outlining and identifying the issue at this time at the beginning of the class, you're going to save time and energy later on in the class. Let me give you 4 good examples. This assignment is going to have an impact on assignment 1, which is all about the selection and critique of research articles. In other words, for assignment number 1, you're going to select some research articles. You're going to justify the selection of those research articles, and then you're going to critique them. Okay, what's the basis of your justification? Your careful identification of an issue in the pre-assignment is going to be used as the measure against which I'm going to look at the effectiveness of your selection. So if you give me, you really flesh out the issue well at the beginning of the class, this is going to make it much easier for you to know that you're selecting articles that are on target for assignment 1. Okay, that's the first example. Number 2 may or may not happen, but number 2 has to do with the development of Excel skills, and the only reason that we're doing Excel skills is that we're going to look for ways to use those skills to accumulate data. So if you find out that accumulating data, getting more information, good hard data, is a part of the concerns that you have about your issue, the effective use of Excel skills and learning Excel skills and using Excel skills for a good purpose could have a big impact here. Let's go on to assignment 3. You're going to read in the Freakonomics book some selected articles. I'm going to identify some specific sections as targets. You don't have to read them all, but I'm going to give you a bunch of targets, and you're going to select some, and you're going to do some analysis work. Okay, the main point of the Freakonomics assignments is not so much for the content of the examples, it's for the illustration and the procedures that the guys who wrote Freakonomics are using to research these issues. In other words, I want you to go to school on the techniques that they used, and it would be possible if you get enough background information, you could start to get some inklings of some ways that you could set up a research-based process to set up an improvement plan for these issues. And then finally, the heart of the end of the course is really going to be working on assignment number 4, which is develop an improvement project. Improvement project of what? Well, improvement project based on the issue that you're going to identify in the payoff. So, in the pre-assignment. So, pre-assignment sets the stage. Assignment number 4 allows you to develop an improvement project based on the need you identified. And then finally, assignment 5, you're going to use the Memory Jogger little support book as a basis for some tools. So I think I can make a pretty good case for telling you that almost all of the succeeding assignments of this course are going to be enhanced, easier, and take you less time when you get to the assignments if you pay a little attention at this point to the pre-assignment. Best way to start is go back here if you don't know how much to write is, and I'll be glad to help you with this process. Give me an example. It could only be 2 or 3 sentences long at the beginning stage, and say, Guy, here's my idea, can you give me feedback? I will be more than happy, delighted, ecstatic with the possibility of giving you some specific examples and illustrations and questions that can help you flesh out your specific need statement. So here's a little bit. I hope this helps you get a head start on the pre-assignment. It's the precursor for getting a good start done on the course. Thank you very much.